let's get back to the show on Disney Channel.
Today we are going to be looking at Disney television animation shows of the 2020s so far. This includes all the shows that have premiered on either Disney Channel or Disney Plus from January 2020 to the present. I won't be discussing shows like Amphibia or Big City Greens since they started before 2020. I'll also be leaving out Disney Junior shows, otherwise we'd be here forever. I'll go over each show in order of their release, briefly discussing them and sharing my thoughts about them. And there may be some slight spoilers ahead, so if you haven't seen any of these shows, it might be best to check them out first beforehand. Or you might just want to know a little bit about these shows before checking them out. Without further ado, let's get started. In early 2020, we had The Owl House, a 2D animated series created by Dana Terrace. The series follows a girl named Luce who dreams of bigger and grander things in life. She's eventually given the chance to live the life as it is in her fantasy stories when she walks through a magical door that leads her to a realm called the Boiling Isles. There, she meets a cast of colorful characters, both friends and enemies alike, and learns along the way that some things may not be exactly like her books may have taught her, and there is more to the world than she initially thought. Now, I remember when this series was first announced, it was described as a fantasy horror comedy. Disney doing horror sounded interesting, and I wanted to see how much of that was going to be true. While there were quite a few horror elements sprinkled in the series, I'd say it wasn't really horror focused, which pretty much is what I expected. I'm assuming a lot was held back, and based on these early concepts, it looks like that was the case. Honestly, with what we got in terms of the story and breaking the bounds of representation, I'd say I'm satisfied. Even with a shortened third season, it's a great show that may start slowly at first, but picks up quickly. I highly recommend watching it, especially if you want a magical fantasy coming-of-age story. And if you're wondering, you can watch it all on Disney Plus right now.
Oh my gosh, I just did magic. I just did magic! I just did magic!
The Wonderful World of Mickey Mouse is a 2D animated comedy series set as a continuation of the 2013 series of the Mickey Mouse shorts. The series lasted for about 2 seasons with a couple of specials and follows none other than Mickey Mouse and all of his friends, Minnie, Goofy, Donald, and Daisy, for the most part. The series even has guest appearances from classic characters. It's pretty much just the daily lives of these characters and what they are doing in that day. Whether it's cheese wrangling, spending the night at a roller rink, or even just Mickey and Minnie trying to go on an ordinary date. All kinds of wacky scenarios happen to these characters. Now, this series is actually extremely funny with its comedic timing. Joke after joke and straight up random humor that catches me off guard every single time.
I wrote you a song!
What?
It's the type of show that you don't expect much from, but gives you everything it has to offer. If you need a good laugh, this is probably one of those better shows to watch for it. It's an overall fun time to have while in between shows.
That don't look good.
Let's talk about the first Disney Plus series, Monsters at Work. It's a 3D computer animated series made for Disney Plus. The series is set a little bit after the events of the first movie, when Mike and Sully discover that laugh power is a better alternative to scream power. The show mainly follows a character named Tyler Tuskman, who just graduated as a top scarer at Monsters University. He gets to Monsters Incorporated, but they've just switched to laugh power, and now he's stuck, not sure what he's going to be doing for work. Due to his background in working in a hardware store, he's assigned to the MIF team, which is essentially a maintenance team, but Tyler is doing his best to become a jokester on the laugh floor, even taking classes for it, through his efforts to grow with his team and pursue his dream as the series unfolds. Honestly, I know a lot of people tend to be mixed on whether they like the series or not, but I overall think it's pretty good. There was a dip in the middle of the season where it felt like nothing really interesting was going on, but it did pick up near the ending and caught me off guard with what happened in the season finale. I don't want to say exactly what happens in the episode, but let's just say it coincides with the end of the first movie, and I was pleasantly surprised about it. Oh, and if you're wondering, the show does have John Goodman and Billy Crystal reprising their roles as Sully and Mike. With a second season on the way, I'm curious to see where the series goes. If you're a fan of the movies, I'd say at least give the show a shot, if you've ever craved more out of it.
Knock, knock.
Who's there?
Police.
Police who?
Police and this song.
The Ghost of Molly McGee is another 2D animated comedy series created by Bill Montz and Bob Roth. The show follows a girl named Molly McGee and her family as they moved into their new home in the town of Brighton. They quickly discover as the house they've just moved into is actually haunted by a ghost named Scratch, who wants to get rid of Molly and her family. Scratch tries to curse Molly so she leaves but ends up cursing himself, being at Molly's side whenever she calls his name. From there, the two would develop an attachment to each other, with Molly's very optimistic approach to life and Scratch's straightforward approach, as they tried to make their town of Brighton a slightly better place than it was before. From the moment I saw this show announced, I felt that it was going to be a lot of fun to watch. Not just because of its comedy, but also its songs. Many of them, starting with the opening theme, just stick in your head. I remember replaying it repeatedly. It's a very catchy tune. On top of that, all the stories that the show tells can honestly be related to many people. From having to move around a lot, struggling to make friends, to representation of different heritages. I think it's a great show to watch and grow with for many. It's an overall great show that I highly recommend.
The Ghost and Molly McGee.
The Proud Family Louder and Prouder is a revival and sort of soft reboot of the original Proud Family series. Created by both Bruce Smith and Ralph Farquhar, made for Disney+. The series follows none other than the Proud family, but mainly Penny Proud and her daily life as a teenager in the modern day. With that comes with a lot of modern day lingo and a lot of modern day problems, including in many aspects of high school, family dynamics, and more. Now I know this revival has gotten a lot of flack over some topics that it's chosen to cover, and while I do agree that some of it can be cringeworthy and could be handled a bit differently, the Proud Family has always tackled heavy topics like bullying, breaking social norms, and even racism a few times, so it makes sense why they would be addressing these issues again, as they are still relevant today. It's something that needs to be acknowledged, and a lot of people should know about it. Even despite that, I think it's a fine series overall. Pretty much all the characters are the same, with a few updates for relevance for today. Would I say it's a good successor to the first series? I'm not sure yet. Maybe watching the next season will help me decide. All I know is that I'm sure I'll enjoy the show no matter what it talks about.
We're about to blow up!
ChibiVerse is a series that centers around many Disney characters and their chibi versions as they live in their own universe. Various scenarios happen where different hosts introduce several segments of chibi shorts from different Disney Channel shows and movies. Honestly, there isn't much to this show beyond short comedic skits. I do like the fact that they have a lot of Disney characters in the same place and interacting with one another. I'm also surprised at some of the shorts that have been made. I never expected to see Halloween Town shorts after all this time, which makes me think how much that could work as a series. These ChibiVerse stories have also foreshadowed a character before, so who knows, it could happen again. So it's good to keep an eye on these shorts for future contexts of Disney shows. Other than that, this series is fine as it is. It's something you'd watch to enjoy all the characters you like.
Are we sure this was a good idea?
Hamster and Gretel was an animated superhero comedy series created by Dan Povenmire. The series follows a boy named Kevin and his ordinary life along with his sister Gretel and her pet hamster. One day while out driving, they are given superpowers by some aliens. However, Kevin doesn't actually get any powers. Instead, it's just his sister and her hamster who gain the powers and become superheroes, while Kevin helps out from the sidelines. As far as Dan Povenmire shows go, it's a pretty good one, pretty on par with what he's known for with a mostly lighthearted tone. I know a lot of people didn't think much of this series when it was first announced, and I don't know how many people have watched it, but I think this is a genuinely good show that's worth your time, especially if you enjoy others like Phineas and Ferb and Milo Murphy's Law. Plus, the series does have an ongoing conspiracy involving the aliens that gave them their powers, so I'm very curious to see where it all goes.
Use your powers wisely.
Okay.
And use them for good.
We will!
Bye, Mr. Alien.
Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur is another superhero series based on the Marvel comics of the same name. It follows a girl named Lunella, who's quite the genius. She ends up activating a portal where a red T-Rex steps out of it, and with that dinosaur they become a crime-fighting duo. With the support of her friend Casey, they take care of the Lower East Side of New York City. I really like this show a lot. I didn't really know what to expect from it when it was first announced, but I was pleasantly surprised by how great it is. The style of animation really reflects the lovely comic book style. This is another series that deals with a lot of heavy topics in its own way. And the season finale leaves you wanting so much more, and I can't wait to see more of it. If is an animated comedy musical series created by Lucy Heavens and Nick Small. In a small urbanized mountainous town, the series centers on Kif, an optimistic squirrel who always has the best intentions when helping others, which can often lead to some crazy scenarios. Along with their best friend Barry, a bunny, they take on the world and daily life, handling situations at school, parties, and being good friends to each other. I know this series doesn't look like much with its character designs. It does look pretty kiddish. However, after watching a few episodes, it's actually pretty good. It's not amazing, it's a good enough show about people just going through their lives. Some of the songs are pretty good too, and there's not a whole lot to say about the show without getting into the details about it. But if you are looking for something wholesome, this might be the one for you.
Wow.
Me?
Hades on It is the latest Disney animated show as of this video. It was created by Devin Bungie and Nick Stanton. The show follows a girl named Haley who doesn't like taking risks all that much. However, after a New Year's celebration, a scientist from the future tells Haley that she needs to complete her long list of tasks that she's wanted to do since childhood. Completing this list will help save the world and reverse global warming. So Haley, along with her best friend Scott and a robot named Beta, team up to complete the task while fending off chaos bots from the future trying to stop her. The series, personally, I think is a lot of fun. The show is instantly kicked into high gear with completing various tasks that seem impossible. The constant threat adds to the excitement, even though the show can feel a little bit fast-paced. But it does that to its advantage because these list items need to be done as soon as possible. Simultaneously, we see characters grow and learn with each task. Overall, it's a really good show so far, and I'm going to continue watching it for sure.
Something tells me this is gonna be the year we both make our dreams come true. Parkour!
So, those are all the current Disney Channel animated shows of the 2020s so far. Honestly, I enjoyed them all. There's not even one show that I generally don't like. Granted, some of these shows are better than others, and I do prefer some over the next. Still, I say I give them all a chance because you never really know which show you will connect with. I'm also hoping to see many other great shows to come to Disney television animation throughout the rest of the 2020s. Based on what's announced so far, they have me intrigued with what's coming. Have you watched any of these shows? Will you watch any of these shows now? Let me know what you think of them, and remember to support your favorite shows.